Welcome to Eagleware Website's how-to videos. This video is part 2 of how to publish a newsletter to a website. In the last video we just started talking about creating a template for your newsletters to make it easier to publish newsletter content from month to month in the same format. They're easy to do. To create a template, let's just create a new document and format it for the way that you want it to be. My particular case, we don't want much of a top margin because we're going to put a heading in there. That ought to be good for this example anyway. You can do it any way you want to. We're going to start out with this, and I'm going to put a header in here, so we need to view our header and footers. And once we're in the header, in this particular case I'm going to put a table. It's just going to be a very simple table, and you don't have to use tables. If you want to put graphics in your heading, or you want a graphic in one spot and some text and maybe another graphic or whatever, tables are one easy way to do that, where you can keep stuff in place. In this case, it doesn't really need a table, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm just going to put we got a couple of rows in here. I'm just going to put some quick text in here. Okay, might as well center these, make it look a little better. Of course, you know, yours is going to be a little bit different because you're going to do whatever you want in yours. Let's go down to the footing, and let's I don't need font size that big. 10 would be good. And we'll type well, let's put our web address in here for something. www.veteranswebsites.com. I guess we ought to put a table in here too. We only need 2 columns, 1 row. And now let's insert some auto text, page of, and then let's write justify that so it goes over there. And let's preview what it would look like. It looks like it looks okay, except for we got the border around it and also up there. So let's go back into our headers and footers, select our table, go to borders and shading and click none, then switch back to our footer and let's do the same thing. Now if we go look at it, it doesn't have the table around it. Anyway, that's close enough for our purposes. Now we'll save the file, save as, and we can call it, in my case I'm going to call it sample newsletter. And then we want to save it as a, move this up so you can see it, save it as a dot file. And you see it's already got a default location that it wants to put it in, and we're going to let it put it in there because that way it'll be able to find it. So we'll just save it. So now if we kill this document, if we go to create a new document, we can select templates on our computer, and there's our sample newsletter that we just created. So if we pull that up, it'll pull this up just like we created it. We don't have to do the headers and footings every time. The only thing you have to do is go in here and change the date. Now if we didn't put the date in the header, we could just type it in real simply here. it's whatever you want to do, but you can go in and change it like this. A good tip to start on when you're using templates as soon as you pull one up is to save the file as whatever you want. I normally have a format for mine where I have the date, and I put the date in like this, year, month, and whatever date that I create the file. You can also do it in any other way, but normally if you have the date in it, at least the year and the month, and I don't normally use spaces. I'll use underlines or dashes. Makes it simpler to read on the web if you're trying to read the file name, because a space in HTML code is about 4 different characters. So it's kind of confusing. It doesn't make any difference whether you use them or not. The system's still going to work just fine. Post newsletter. July. JUL doc. And the reason why I use a format something like this is when I go to view it in a file manager, it will sort by the numbers first. So 2010s will always be at the top of the list, and then from there it'll be 1 month after the next, January, February, because it'll go 01, 02, 03 for the month. And it makes it easier to find a document if they're in the same consistent order every time when you go look at it. So it doesn't matter what you call it, but that's a little tip that I use on my stuff. So anyway, if you save it now it's a document file, and you're not going to overwrite your template, which it would give you a warning if you tried to do so anyway. But that's how you create a template and save the template and then reuse it from month to month. So we're up to about 5 minutes on this video, so we're gonna go to part 3. Don't want to get stuck on time making these videos. We're limited to 10 minutes. So we'll continue with part 3, how to publish a newsletter to a website, part 3. And we'll give you some tips in part 3 on how to format a Word document, insert some text and pictures and things. Pretty simple stuff once you see how it's done, but it makes your newsletter look a lot better.